All right. All right. Namaste, everybody. Marie Russell here. And today I wanted to talk about something kind of near and dear to my heart around men and women. It's a conversation that we've begun in our Mighty Companions group for Yoga Off the Mat. And one of the things that's been really coming up for me and some of our companions is this fact, okay? And here's the fact. Anytime you are triggered, that is in fact a teacher. So a trigger is a teacher. When you feel that you are triggered in any relationship, there's something there for you to learn. And I think so often, I know for myself, I tend to shy away from these types of conversations. It's like I don't want to admit that I'm even triggered or upset about something as silly as, walking on the carpet with shoes. Okay, it's like stuff like that. But it's not about the walking on the carpet with the shoes that is the problem. It's what it really means on the back end of that we want to look at. So in relationships with men and women, I find that we're often triggered because we have a deeper healing that needs to take place. And the deeper healing has to do with men and dominance and women and subservience, and learning how to heal the masculine and the feminine energy in all of us. So we all have feminine and masculine energy, and what happens is that we're so adapted. We are really far away from the center in terms of how we operate. So we're far away in that we really celebrate productivity in many ways, right? But we don't really celebrate letting go. We don't really celebrate relaxing. We don't really celebrate those qualities that are really essential to our beingness, to really being a human. We tend to really get motivated and excited about like all the things that we can do. And that kind of creates this overdrive masculine energy. And I think that that's something that comes up in a lot of relationships where being is something that we need to focus on a little bit more. We need to be aware of what our triggers are. So become aware. If you become triggered by a partner walking on the carpet with shoes, or leaving the toilet seat up, or saying something in a disrespectful way, look at that for a moment. Instead of reacting right away, or instead of going into the same pattern of I'm not treasured, or whatever it is for you, however you're going to act out that trigger, really sit with it for a second and ask yourself, what is this about? Right? What is this really about? What am I upset about? And I can say from my own experience, I've had some really great opportunities to look at this in the last 10 days in my own marriage, and it's been so healing for us. It's been so healing because it opened this new door to communication that we tended to avoid. We just tended to avoid this door. I think a lot of us might get into these habits where it's like, there's no time to get in this conversation. We've got kids going on. We've got this, we've got that. And then by the end of the day, we're like whipped. We just lay down or whatever. But it really gave some spaciousness to both of us because I was deeply triggered. And instead of reacting or needing to talk about it right away, I just sat with it. And I let myself go through the emotions that came up from it. So like, initially there was sadness, then there was anger, then there was frustration, but I just watched myself move through those waves of energy. So because I allowed that, it's almost like it went by faster. I let the emotions come through, I felt them, and then when it was the right time to talk about it, meaning we were both in a peaceful state, like we were both open to really like, okay, what is this about? This beautiful communication happened, this community, we were united in our communication, and it was so amazing to witness us do that. So the moral of the story is, in our male and female relationships, I think it's really important that we look at the times when the adapted masculine comes out dominating, comes out a little bit mean, a little bit aggressive. And when that happens, what does our feminine do? Does our feminine go subservient? Does our feminine go angry and sad? And to just observe it instead of getting really caught up in it. I can't really see if anyone's on with me right now because the sun is beaming at me. So if you're with me in this very moment, I love you and thanks for being here. I'm doing this for our mighty companions, but I thought it would be beneficial just to put it out to the community. So we're talking about men and women in relationships. And what I'm inviting everyone to do is just to look at when you're triggered. Look at that as if it was a teacher. It was there for you. And when you feel this kind of adapted male-feminine energy going funky, pull into yourself. Give yourself some space to look at it. You know, I think that so often we think we have the answers and we just go right into it when we want to blah and tell you how I think and you're right or you're wrong or whatever it is. And I noticed with one of my mighty companions in this last week that it really is about just observing it and allowing yourself to feel the energy. Because when you feel the energy, what happens is you'll come back to your power. And when you come back to your power, the universe is going to align itself for you and your partner or whoever you're having this funky relationship or this funky moment with, the opportunity to really come together and to communicate and to evolve. And I think that that's really what we want, isn't it? We want to evolve. We don't want to have the same conversations again and again and again in different shapes, sizes, and forms. And this is how life works. I mean, until we learn the lesson, it's going to keep showing up for us. So if it's showing up for you in any of your relationships, I really want to give you this opportunity. I'm really, from the bottom of my heart, just want to say, just give yourself a second to look at this. What is this really about? And if someone is showing you dominance, or if someone is showing you something really ugly about the opposite sex that you just don't like or aren't into, see if you can see through that. Because what's really happening here, that person is showing you their fear. And if you're on a spiritual path, which I believe all of us are, your job is to see through that fear. And I can say I know the times in my life when it's gone really well, when I've seen someone give me something ugly that I didn't like, that I was like, oh, okay, that's fear. I was really grounded in myself, right? I could see that. And there have been other times when I saw it and I was immediately triggered and I reacted and I got defensive or whatever I did. So again, it's really about observing it. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. It must be true. That's what they say. When something's true, you sneeze. So I can't really see. I think there's a couple people on, but it's super sunny for me. So if you're with me, hi, I love you. Thanks for being here. But really, the conversation is about men and women and how to deal with some of the ugliness that comes up in relationships, and to allow yourself to feel the feelings that you feel when you're presented with that. But also, those are the moments that are prime time for spirit. It's like those are the moments to pray about it. Those are the moments to be like, okay, what would you have me do? What would you have me say? You know, where would you have me go? I know for myself, in the situation I had over this last weekend, it was a lot about spaciousness, and then I allowed myself to have the feelings, and then boom, the opportunity presented where we could both be present and have this conversation that we really needed to have. And I think that it catapulted us into the next level of our relationship because we both admitted our errors in it. We both took responsibility for our part in it, but at the same time, there was an absence of blaming. It wasn't like, well, you did this and you did that. It was more like, look, I see what you did. I see why you did that. I see how you got to that as a reasonable behavior. I mean, I see all of that, and I love you anyway. And do you love you enough to make the change? Because again, it's not that we become wimpy when we stand for love. It's not like we just allow abusive behavior, or we allow, people to be insane or disrespectful. It's not that we allow that, but we can see through it, and we have to make a stand. I think it's really important for women nowadays too, and men, but more so women, to be so grounded in our energy and so grounded in our love that we create healthy boundaries. Like, look, this is just not acceptable anymore. And we find ways to communicate that in a way that doesn't feel like an attack. It's like, how long are we going to play like this? Or are you willing to make a change? Or are you happy in this energy of resentment? Because it's not working for us, right? And so I think that our communication skills get better the more we're willing to feel the pain, we're willing to feel the discomfort, we're willing to see through it and not blame the other person, but hold the space for them and actually model what it is we would like to see from them by actually doing that to them. Like, what it is I want from you is how I'm going to show up to you in this relationship right now. So I'm trusting all that makes sense. It is so sunny and bright here. I cannot even see. I think there's a couple. Oh, I think it says Joy. My sister-in-law. I love you. Josephine, I think another. Anyway, I love you guys if you're on with me. And I'm trusting that this was helpful. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Or even just comments, or Marie, I disagree with that, or whatever it is. I'm just looking to have a deeper conversation with all of us. I'm writing right now this really amazing piece on Adam and Eve. And what do Adam and Eve have to do with us? And the deepest cut of this story with Adam and Eve is that we have a masculine and feminine ancient hatred. And A Course in Miracles teaches us that the holiest place on earth is where an ancient hatred has become a present love. So with men and women, we've been carrying this for generations upon generations, right? Adam ate the apple, right? And then he blamed Eve for it. And instead of taking responsibility for it, he blamed her. And then she felt guilty about it. And ever since then, we've been playing out this story where, women, we're afraid of our being seductive, we feel guilty, and men feel dominating because they don't trust women. And it just goes on and on. I'm writing this great piece. I think it'll be ready by next week to put out with this conversation. But I would just like you to look at all of this from a deeper place. So if you're in a relationship and if something's going on that's a little heavy on your heart, feel the emotion, be with it, ask for guidance, and ask for time where you can openly and clearly communicate with your partner, friend, husband, whatever it is, on a deeper level. Because I can say that my guy and we had a really big thing happen, and I'm so grateful that we were both willing to do our own work, to both be responsible for our part in it. And it really elevated not only our conversation, but our relationship. And I just felt like I wanted to share that with all of you, that this is deeper. Men and female stuff, it goes back, and it's our opportunity in our relationships to find ways to openly communicate, to lovingly communicate, to step out of blame, to step into blessing. And that's the message of this week, okay, friends? I love you. I hope you can see me. I can see like nada on the screen, but I'll give you a little view from our third floor. Oops, there's my green tea. But there is the ocean, and we're sending you lots of happy vibes from Mexico, and lots of love. Okay, write me, guys. I'm around. I love this whole online thing. We get to be kind of connected in this way, and it's super cool. So lots of love to you. Namaste.